Microphone check. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. The Coffee and Biscotti Show. Today is Friday, April 29th, 12 o'clock, Eastern Daylight Savings Time. We are back for another episode of The Coffee and Biscotti Show. I hope wherever you are in the world, you have had a wonderful week. I hope that you have in the chat some stories to share with me. So let's talk, shall we? Let's talk. I traveled to Toronto this week for the funeral of my dear friend, Jojo Fernicola. And I'm not going to lie, my friends, this was a toughie. But I did something. I brought my little boy with me. And we got a chance to go see the Ripley's Aquarium. And we got a chance to go up to the CN Tower and do some things at a fair. But here's what happened. For 4 days, guys, I had it together. Super strong. Got a chance to see some of my old friends, some of my dear friends from Toronto. The infamous Ricky Atkinson. My cousin who's going to be on the show soon, Michael Bellissimo. My best friend from high school, Ralph Pileggi. My choice theory mentor, Francesco Bizzacchi. And my boy from long time ago, from the minute that we came out of the womb, Mr. Johnny Magnante. Want to give a special shout out to, of course, Poutine Nation, who's here with us as always. Josh, I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to see each other. I would have loved to have seen you, especially because you were here the week before. But I'm sure our paths will cross again sooner than later. Just know that I miss you, bro. You're first class, my friend. I really enjoyed having you here live last week on the Coffee and Biscotti Show. A special shout out to a beautiful soul, Franny. Lots of love to you, girl. I know I haven't been in touch much this week, but it's been a tough one. So what I wanted to share with you guys was this. So for 4 days, I had my shit together. And then when I drove back, it kind of, all the emotions came to a head. And just the waterworks started to open up. And I thought to myself, you know, in the course of 18 months, I've lost a marriage, a job, a father, and a friend. All while trying to pull myself together in starting a business in the midst of the first global pandemic that I've ever lived through. So the question is that what are we to make of all this? What are we to make of all this? The truth is, guys, is that I think back to the psychology that I'm learning in Dr. William Glasser's choice theory that says all we do is behave from the moment we're born to the moment that we die. And that in the experiences that I've had over the last little while, all I can do is behave in a way based on the experiences that are in front of me. I don't know that there's a right or a wrong. What I do know is that I lead with my heart. And so while I shed lots of tears the other day, there is so much to be grateful for. The energy of a little 4-year-old boy that kept me going. Want to give a special shout out to someone that I saw at the funeral. She goes by Rum Shaker. Girl, it was so good to see you. And thank you for shining your light. You gave me a beautiful hug while we were at the viewing and at the funeral, and I'm so grateful that you were there. And thank you so much for being with us here today on the show. But we're talking gratefulness, and it's the perfect segue into my guest today. You know, it's funny when you meet somebody. So, our dear friend of the show, Sandra Mio, introduces me to this woman who goes by Soul Tribe Healing on Instagram. And, you know, I'm all about meeting people. I like to connect with people. I love the best part about having a live show is that there's no tricks. The energy is here. What's here is here. Wherever the flow of the energy goes in conversation, it goes. But I got a chance to speak to this woman, and I mean, again, it was at a week where I didn't feel very good. I was sad. And then this woman came into my life. And we chatted. We chatted about what she does. We chatted about her energy, because it's her energy that brought a smile to my face. When you look at this woman, my friends here in the Twitchiverse, you will get sucked in, because she has the most kindest eyes. And what I love about this woman is that, like me, she's decided to take a little bit of the science in terms of being a life coach, but still has that metaphysical, spiritual side to her, because she's a master in Reiki. She's an intuitive. She's a tarot card reader. And I love that. That's my favorite part. It's the coming together of science and metaphysics, or science and spirituality. And why I love that, because I don't think that one has the right answer. I think we need a little bit of both. And so when I was chatting with this woman, I couldn't help but be totally drawn to this woman's energy. I mean, gentlemen, I'm sorry. I already asked. She's married with 2 kids. Sorry. But she's an absolutely stunning looking woman who really wants nothing more than to help people find and live their divine purpose. Guys, that's a powerful thing. Because I was just talking to somebody last week while taking Leo to a birthday party, and the mom, who's a professional wedding photographer, had to take a job years ago with the government. And this is a woman with entrepreneurial spirit in her. Just a lovely woman. And all she can talk about is, holy shit, we work too much. We work too damn much. This is not the way that life is supposed to be. And today's story is so powerful because this woman took the traditional route. Get a good education, find a good pensionable job, meet a partner, have 2.2 kids, and then work so that you can buy stuff. And then live for the 2 weeks holidays that you get for the first 4 or 5 years of your job. And then when you're there longer, maybe get 3 weeks and 4 weeks. So you work 11 months out of the year so you can enjoy 1 month out of the year and spend a ton of money because everything's become so expensive. But something happened. Something triggered. In the world of spirituality, we say something awoke. And we go back to the conversation of gratitude, and I'm grateful for this woman because her light and her energy is powerful. So powerful that she lifted my spirits in a time when I didn't know how to react. I didn't know how to behave because I had never been through the experience of having a friend take his own life. This woman came with truly divine timing. A beautiful goddess who has found her voice, is connected to the divine, and now spends her life working with people, asking the right questions so they can go and find their own divine purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are in this beautiful globe floating across the universe, get off of your seat and put your hands together for the beautiful goddess, Tanya Manzon. And
Hi.
the crowd goes wild. Did I make you blush?
Honestly, I feel like everybody needs an opportunity to be on your show so they can experience your intro. I think you get people a little flustered, and then you're like, "Oh, now go live." And you're like, "Hi, thank you for having me."
Yeah, I work hard at it, but I speak from the heart, Tanya. This was really a crazy week, and I have to tell you, like I saw a woman at the funeral. Rum Shaker was there, and what an absolute joy to see this woman. So between her and you coming in at a time where I lost a friend, I was gifted. And then, of course, we got introduced through a mutual friend who, Tanya, as far as I'm concerned, they should have a saint day for her. It should be
I
called
agree.
Saint Sandra
I agree. I
because
agree.
she is she is something else. I call her my lifesaver. That if she was a candy, she would be called lifesaver.
She is wonderful. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you.
So, Tanya, here we are, and I wasn't. There's no joke about the introduction, and I'm super excited to have you on the show because I think your story is powerful. It's powerful because a lot of people believe that we have societal and cultural pressures where we talk about all the things that we should do. We have to do this because this is the way it's supposed to be done. And you did that for a while.
Oh, I sure did.
So let's talk about it. Sandra, Tanya, what I'd like to do is Sandra told me, of course, a little bit about you, and we had an opportunity to chat. But I want to go back to the beginning, Tanya. Let our friends in the Twitchiverse know who this amazing goddess really is.
Well, I didn't always feel like an amazing goddess, that's for sure. And I think that something that's powerful about my story is really just the average vibe about it and the simplicity of it. I think sometimes people think that, like, they need to overcome something so huge, or to really make an impact or a difference or step out of something. It needs to be because some big, huge thing happened in their life. And for me, it wasn't so much like that. You know what I mean? I was just like a regular girl, Italian, you know, God bless my parents. They, both meant well, but, I was meant to, like, I don't know, I didn't have any like entrepreneurial examples around me. And I was encouraged to, like, I want to say play it safe. Um, and I did just that. And really, I think I wanted to. I was in such a place of always like just wanting to be responsible, want to make my parents proud. And I really just didn't even imagine and explore the true possibilities for me because I just didn't feel good enough, valuable enough, worthy enough to step outside of the square or out of the matrix, and do my own thing. And then I did. I worked in a dental office for 20 years, slaying every day, at that job. And honestly, there was too much pull and passion underneath the surface And I eventually just decided to part time explore my other interests.
Well, I mean, it seems like a simplified version, but the truth is that there's more to that. I mean, what I want to know, and what I think that's powerful is that, so you go, so let's start at the beginning. Where you were born?
Toronto.
Born in Toronto. Okay, so you're
My
born,
parents both born in Italy.
yeah, and so you come from immigrant parents that came to this country with the hopes of making a better life for their family and their children,
Hmm. Yes, so
and you know, you go through living up or growing up being Italian, and the cultural pressures involved in being Italian, especially as a young woman. You have a place and a role to play, and you have to do that role whether you like it or not. And
I
this
understand.
this is what I want to talk about, because I don't think that this energy is gone yet. I
What do you
still
mean?
think
Oh
that
yeah,
yeah, there's a lot of people think that, it's a very old paradigm way of thinking.
yeah,
The woman is the homemaker, and this is what she's supposed to do, and that's not true at all. And there's a huge shift in energy.
huge. And more women and men. And actually, I wanted to say it had come to me during your intro. There's more and more. I love. So like what I do is I love showing people what's possible for them, lifting them up, and really even showing them the entrepreneurial spirits that they have inside of them. And what I wanted to say was there's actually more in the universe. There's more entrepreneurial energy coming through for most people now because more and more people are more and more awakened, and they are stepping outside of the square and being their fabulous circle selves in this universe. And so many more people are, they have that feeling and that inkling inside of them that they want for more, but they're just not sure how to go about it, and they don't believe in themselves enough yet to do it, or they just don't even imagine that it's possible for them. And I noticed that that was the feeling that I came to this with, and a lot of people that sit in my space are on that same level, and it's just so empowering and exciting, and it's just the most amazing gift of my life to be able to be an inspiration and an example of a regular old girl, you know, just like you were saying, my immigrant parents, not a lot of entrepreneurial examples around me that stepped outside of that, feeling small and feeling scared, and not good enough, and just expanded the horizon. And it's been awesome.
But I mean, Tanya, was there something that happened? Was there, like, so you're working. So you said you work, what, in a dental office?
I worked in a dental office, yeah.
You worked in a dental office, and were you at the same office?
Same office, 20 years. I was so comfortable
Holy
there, you
shit,
know?
oh my God.
Mhm.
20 years at the same dental office, and if not
Yeah.
mistaken, at Keel and Wilson.
Lawrence, Killer Lawrence,
Keel and Lawrence, there you go.
good
And
listener.
so at this point, you're already married, right? Maybe you weren't married when you
I
started the
wasn't
job,
married the whole time, no.
but you married afterwards. So you found this
Yeah.
job, you got
Mhm.
married.
Mhm.
Now you have two beautiful boys.
Yeah.
Um,
You know what it was, Mel? It was, and so many people feel this, okay? You know, when you're like at a job for a long time, and so there's two things. So, first, it's acknowledging and having the courage for everyone who's watching to think about how their vibe is at work. And everybody knows when they've outgrown their position
mhm.
because it's stagnant, it's lackluster, you start dragging your ass, you're just not growing and learning anymore. And for me, because I was there for so long too. Like I had put myself through high school. Like I was like, I went with my like Invicta bag after school, like file, and and then I went to university, put myself through university there, and all of like my life events. I got off track. Um, I outgrew it. It stopped being exciting, okay? And it stopped feeling good for me that I wasn't giving my 100% anymore. And that for me was an integrity thing. And it just didn't feel good. That was number one, to know that I really needed to push forward on the other passions. The other thing is, a lot of people have like a fire and like this energy, this dream, this obsession. It could be something so like random. For me, it was life coaching. It was my original thing that lit me up. Um, and you know what? It just didn't go away. And a lot of people feel this, like they can't sleep because they keep thinking about something would be so awesome if, or I love this so much. And it just like it comes to you and you read about it and you love it and it's in your face and you start seeing people doing the same thing. And when you have that fire that doesn't go away, that kind of passion that keeps you up at night, that's also an indication that you need to do something more. So I had the combination of these two things, and the strength and the courage to start um, questioning my spiritual beliefs and expanding and believing in myself. And so many people my whole life were always like, are you psychic, and this and that, like from when I was in high school and on my teenage years and young adult life. And I just started like not pretending to be smaller than the big light that I felt inside. It is that simple.
But but Tanya, I need to know, like, when let's talk high school days, because high schools can be pretty traumatizing for kids. It's not
Trauma.
all, yeah, it's not all cherries and roses when you go to high school. And because you mentioned that you did, you had friends, or you did have people that told you that it was like you had this gift. But what was high school like? Like what was that experience for you like?
Small and tiny, because in high school I felt small and invisible and too insecure to really shine my light, Mel. You know what I mean? Also, I'm like a plus size queen, and it's a scary, hard world when you're an insecure person and not feeling powerful, and then plus to be plus size, it's not an easy world out there. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So that's my high school. My high school was average and ordinary and quiet. If I could go back,
Yeah,
I always
see,
say if I
that's
could
that.
go back to my days.
I love that. I love that, Tanya, because I think that what I what I get from that is a lot of us feel small. A lot of us feel like a lot of us are fearful of
Yeah,
becoming big, because the bigger, the more light, well, sometimes the more drama comes your way.
the more criticism, the more eyes. The more light. Light attracts dark too. So I mean, there's a lot of things. People are often equally as fearful of success as they are failure. I talk about this a lot. I feel like a lot of people don't talk about this. I'm really passionate about bringing people up and encouraging them. And the truth is, Mel, is that we're not small. We are both so totally special and completely not special at the same time. But the truth is, because we're not special, because we're all special. We're not special in the context of comparing ourselves to others, and it's because we're all so big. We all have a piece of God inside of us. And I think that is, you keep asking me, but what happened, Tal? Like, what happened? How did you be this person? Like, you were working at the dental office. Like, what happened? And I think what happened was I just started honoring, accepting, seeing, feeling the God center within myself, and then also the God center in everybody else. And it changed everything for me. And I read a quote by Marianne Williamson in the very, very beginning of my spiritual journey. And I swear to God, like even just talking about it, I have goosebumps. It it is the thing. I think that, sometimes you hear something, sometimes you read a quote, or you are with a spiritual healer or a teacher, or listening to a song, I don't know, and you hear something that shifts something inside of you and changes you forever. This quote changed me forever, and nothing was the same after it. It goes something like, who are you not to be magnificent and fabulous, and shine your light? God created you to shine your light. You're not serving the world at all by playing small and keeping yourself in the dark. And it just was so fucking amazing.
Yes, yeah,
It
I love
changed
that.
everything.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's a great quote, and I think that
Hmm.
it's something that we all battle with. When I had my school, Tanya, and I was doing what I love in martial arts, I felt that I was doing my thing and I was doing God's work through
Yes,
martial arts. So
yes.
I know that feeling. I know that feeling. But then it takes, all it takes is a couple of things to happen, a few experiences to happen, especially if they're tragic or traumatizing.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you go back to being small again until you start shining your light again. But but what did that feel like for you? Like, how do you explain to somebody that I felt that essence of God in me? What does that mean? What did it feel like to you?
Oh fuck. It felt both incredible and powerful, and actually sad too. And I say sad because when you start realizing the truth, you also, at the same time that you acknowledge the truth, like, so for what you're asking me, the magnificence within us all, okay, not just me.
Right.
um when you really feel that, all of a sudden you can also see the years that have passed, and the trauma that you carried with you, or the mindsets that you had been so stuck in, that were sucking life from you. And that's what I mean when I say it was both powerful and incredible and sad at the same time. And and I want to say, a lot of the time when I'm sitting in sesh with people, I always sort of hit on self forgiveness and being gentle on yourself, because I know that feeling of awakening, which is awesome and incredible and chaotic and traumatic all at the same time. I know that these people who always, like, in my face energetically, I can see like sort of like a light switch kind of moment in some people, and I know that those people too will have that, that feeling of polarity, where they're going to reflect and be like, oh my god, like, how could I have, like, felt this way for so long, and all the opportunities missed, or I would have done things so differently. That's hard to deal with. So being soft and self-forgiving, we all go through it, and then also, cultivate and hold on to that feeling of power and remembrance. And I feel like every single day, because we're human and I'm all about the human experience, every single day we're up against a challenge where we can slip into ego and go small and be fearful again, like you were talking about. When shit happens, we crumble a little bit. And I think our challenge is every single day remembering how fucking amazing we are, and that there's a piece of God inside of us. And you know what, shut the world out and remember that this is your chance. Like, this is the chance that you're Mel in this lifetime. This is the chance that I'm Tanya in this lifetime. And everybody, like, this is a journey that you chose, that you picked. There's no sense in playing small or staying stuck in fear, when there's going to be a day that your opportunities and your journey here on earth is over. You're going to go and reflect on what you did here and how you felt and how you shined your light on the world. And oh, you don't want to wish that you could have just gone over the fear of how you looked, those extra pounds, what people were going to think, and the judgment. And so that was the journey that I went on. And it didn't happen overnight. It was every single day choosing to unravel and undo the social conditioning, taking the fear away and seeing the truth around in myself and in everybody around me, and really stepping out of, I actually shared this on my Instagram today, stepping out of victim mode and into personal ownership, which for anybody who is watching, this is the first step and key to changing your life and healing, which is really just no more excuses. Stop waiting for everybody else to give you permission or change something, for you to begin changing. Don't be a victim. Be responsible for your own self, because your own self is where your happiness comes from.
There's so much to unpack there. I mean, first thing that I want to share is I don't want to forget a quote that that I read the other day about how, and I think it was Jim Carrey or something that said, if you realized how
Oh,
quickly people forgot about the people that have died, you would start spending less time trying to impress them.
oh my God, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But let's go back, because oh my God, there's so much there. I had a question for you, and the question, Tanya, was being a victim and feeling like a victim is, according to Glasser, something that's part of our quality world picture. That by being a victim, there's something there that keeps us safe and comfortable. So that's why people do it. But my question specifically is about, you talked about people that when they do awaken, that there's this joy that happens, like you say, a light switch that goes on. But
Yeah.
also they reflect upon the past, about how many years they've wasted. I
Yeah.
want to know, what is it that you say to somebody? We have a mutual friend who's going through a transition at this moment in time, and she's mentioned about how she thinks about all the years that were wasted.
You
What
know
do
what?
you say to somebody like that?
First of all, there's never a waste. Eliminate that from the mindset. There's never a waste. Like marriages that fail, okay? Were they a waste? Absolutely not. It's just that the relationship had its course. The reason and the season came and went. Okay. This goes for everything in our life. So eliminate, number one, the mindset of a waste. Okay. I know I may have said that. And so I apologize. I mean, just like on the surface, this would be a thought. But in an empowering mindset would be there is no waste. There's just lessons. And then another thing that I say, because it's the cold, hard truth. I've met people who can let go like nothing. I'm over you, or this job, or this situation. I'm done. Closing the door. See you later. Go
Are they
on. Never.
usually Geminis?
They're cray. No, I'm kidding. They're goals. I wish that I was born in that way. I am not. And then some of us have a far more difficult time releasing and letting go. What I say is, honey, some of us, sensitives, especially in empaths, we learn our lessons sometimes a really hard way because you know thyself. Some of us learn with ease, and some of us need kind of like a little bit of repetition, or we really need to get like a good kick in the ass. And that's just the way that we learn. So be soft on yourself, and just focus on the areas that you do have power. And um, if you are reflecting on the past with any kind of pain, then it's because you're losing sight of what you gained from it and what the lesson was. And how this lesson and what you gained from it, even if it was a really long time, even if you dragged your ass longer than you should have, because you've been in it, what it feels like. And so as you move forward, you'll have far better. you're so much better off because of your experience. So yesterday's done, man.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, listen, I agree. I certainly tell my clients that I work with that, you know, what is sort of the obvious, that we can't go and change the past. However, to some people, that's the band-aid being ripped off. I remember, you know, psychology majors telling me about how somebody broke up with a girlfriend, and you tell the guy, don't worry about it, there's lots of fish in the sea. That doesn't necessarily help anybody. That maybe not be something that they need to hear at that moment, you
Hmm.
know. And so it is, it's a work, it's a work in progress. What I love about what you said is that sometimes people take a little longer.
Oh my God, yeah. And
Sometimes.
yeah. And the thing is, the rumination, it's not healthy, right? So like ruminating on the past and what occurred and what could have said different or whatever. It's not healthy. So if for those who struggle with getting over, having a light switch moment and then, ruminating over the past, um, at the end of the day, you talked a lot in my intro and in your Instagram post about, like, the science and all that jazz. And I am a psych major too. The brain, it's, and I'm all spiritual and I'm all energetic for sure, but we are also human, and in this human body, and the brain works in such a way, it goes the path of least resistance. So even that you can have a strong will and an awakening strong mind, the brain ruminates, and you need to understand that you need to really control your mindset and have that self-control. Master your emotions. Not easy. I still struggle with the shit every single day,
Of
and I work
course.
on it, and I've worked on it every single day for over 20 years. And that's another thing I feel that keeps people stuck, which is thinking that they're not doing something right, or they don't have what it takes, because they slip into fear or anxieties and insecurities. And it's it's never going away. I want to say it gets less frequent and you become more powerful, but we're always working through that stuff. And you always have to, it's worth examining and learning a little bit about how the brain works for this
I,
exact reason.
yeah, and I love that, because what came to mind, Tanya, for me was the concept, or at least the idea, of meditation, and
Mm,
why people give up on meditation, because they don't see anything happening. There's nothing, it's so difficult to quantify the results of meditation. And then I give them the example. And they say, guys, how does meditation work? Well, first of all, everybody's under the impression that when you meditate, your brain is supposed to shut off. Till finally somebody told me, listen, if your brain shuts off, you're dead. So that's not
right?
what's supposed to happen.
Right,
So
I agree.
forget about thinking that somehow this is going to be like, I'm going to meditate like the Buddha and I'm going to sit there and there's going to be no thought. No. The objective is to take that monkey brain and to try to refocus. Take it, see where it drifts, and refocus. See where it drifts and refocus. And what I love about what you said is, sometimes, Tanya, we we may experience something, hold it, and then when we're trying to do something to make it better, the results don't come quick enough. The results of what we're looking for don't come quick enough. When I talk to people about meditative practices, they say, yeah, but I've been meditating. I don't feel anything. I don't feel anything changes, until something happens, like you get cut off on the road. You're driving your car. Somebody cuts you off. Most people will do what? They'll flip you the bird.
Hmm. Or freak out, get upset, get
Right,
upset.
freak, road rage. I mean, listen, isn't it kind of crazy that years ago, I remember talking about this years ago, but if you look back 40 or 50 years ago, road rage didn't even exist. There wasn't a word for it.
Really?
Never existed. There was no word called road rage before. But what happens is you're meditating, and you've been meditating over a certain period of time, and you try to do it on a daily basis, even if it's 15 minutes a day. And it could be a walking meditation, it could be a sitting meditation, it could be a laying down meditation. You could do guided ones, you could do vipassana, you could get involved in Zen meditation. It doesn't matter. I could go through an entire list. The point is that you get cut off and then you don't flip the word. You don't get upset. And you know what somebody says? When they start to become in tune with their emotions, as Daniel Goleman calls it, emotional intelligence, what they say is, geez, that person's driving really fast. I hope everything's okay. Because we don't know whether or not their mother's in the hospital, and that's why they're zooming like a maniac.
What I'm hearing from you, Mel, what I'm hearing when you say this is like, this is, yes, an effective meditation, I'm sure, but also it's self-awareness, which is what occurs when you heal. And
Correct.
it's self-awareness. And since you brought up meditation, I think it's important for people because, again, we're human, and when people hear meditation right away, it's like the spiritual world, it's woo woo, not for me.
Yeah.
But what is, and
Yeah.
it depends on what people's perspective of meditation is, because sitting in silence and quieting the mind is next to impossible for flipping most of us. And I'm an optimistic person, okay? And that's not to say that most of us suck. It's to say that it's just not for everybody. So what is meditation? It's like, meditation is hearing God, okay? Whereas prayer is like talking to God. So it's like receiving God. So it's like turning inwards and reminding yourself how powerful and incredible you are, the God center within. So, in what ways does a person want to meditate? They can go for a walk. They can stare at a tree and be like, "Fuck, it's so beautiful. God made that. Wow, he's so creative." That is all forms of meditation. Do you know what I mean? And the effects after is self-awareness. So it's self-awareness that's going to be the thing that causes that person to not flip the bird to someone who cuts them off. And it's funny that you would bring up road rage, because you know that I teach Reiki, and in the level 1, when you're teaching Reiki, you teach people the spiritual principles, and they are, just for today, this is like the principles in Reiki. They are, just for today, I will not anger. Just for today, I will not worry. Just for today, I will do my work honestly. Just for today, I will be kind to my neighbor and every living thing. And just for today, I will be grateful for all of my many blessings. And so when I talk about anger, I always say, like, when someone cuts you off in the car and you get upset, what you've done is you've taken your sense of peace and you have wrapped it up in a beautiful little gift with a bow, and you have given it to the asshole who cut you off in the car. You're giving your peace away to the thing that
Right.
you're projecting your anger on. And this always just really blows people, because I think people don't acknowledge and realize that when we're so angry with somebody, we're giving our power away to them. And this is just a positive thing that happens with self-awareness, just like all the growing, and you could just like rein it in. You know what I mean?
I like that. I like that. And I kind of want you to repeat what you said at the beginning. Prayer is talking to God, but meditation is what?
Hearing God, receiving God,
Love it.
listening to God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super great. That should go up. That should go up. Prayer is talking to God. Meditation is listening to God. And
Or
we
maybe,
use the word God, and I try to be mindful of the fact that not everybody calls it a God. So I just say whatever you believe in, whatever higher power.
absolutely. I mean, maybe, I should have started with, I am a very God-centered healer, but, and, I haven't really found it to be a problem in the circles that I roll in.
Yeah.
But when I say God, I mean source, and I mean universe. And, since you brought up God, I'd love to say something, with something that I had wanted to say the other day when we were talking, just because I was almost curious what your perspective would be. Because I find, Mel, that I disagree with you a lot on some social things, on some spiritual things.
Yeah,
But it's actually
which
that
is
I
good.
don't. I love it. Are you kidding me? It's
Yeah,
like fucking spicy. But it's interesting because I ultimately don't disagree with you in like the big, like everything you say, I believe, and I'm on your page. But some of the way in which you say it, I think because of the studies, I'm like, wait a minute, but and I just want to pick your brain about it. But God, I read somewhere, and it really, 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 really resonated with me, and I just kind of want to share it with like the world. And it was that I was reading a book by Michael Newton. He's a hypnother a hypnotherapist
therapist. Yeah,
who discovered how to hypnotize people to that time and space between lives. So while they're in heaven, absolutely fascinating. The book is called A Journey of Souls. Um, and reading it actually resonated so deeply with me because they were already truths that I had come to feel internally. I had resonance far before I read the book. So then reading something that you feel that you've known as truth, that's kind of like impossible to validate, was just so amazing. The book is incredible. Anyway, it's all case studies where he's really ultimately communicating with spirit guides and all of this cool stuff. And one of them said, humans humanize God too much. We think of God and we think of like some judgy man in the sky or woman. And God is not a human. God is an energy of creativity and love. And that is kind of what I think and feel when I talk about God.
I love it, and I agree. I mean, if I wanted to get metaphysical, I was told that we call God the divine dichotomy, the all and the nothing. You know, but that book that all will always stay with me is a book called Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh, and he wrote I think a 4-part series now of
On
this.
my list.
And he just, the representation of God in the book says, that's why I don't come to you in words, because words are limiting. So I come to you in feeling, because feeling is undeniable. He gives the example, you could love a banana split and you can love your partner, but we all know that the love for your partner is different than the love of banana split. We just don't have the words to describe it. We just say love.
Whereas I would say it's less of a feeling and more of an energy. But yes,
Yeah, feeling, energy. The
together.
feeling, the way that he describes it as feeling is because in the case of Neil Donald Walsh, he writes it as if he was taking dictation from God,
Yeah, I love that. It's
right?
on my list. Yeah.
So So let's talk a little bit now, Tanya, about so where does Reiki fit into all this? Maybe you can help explaining because a lot of people are hearing it. I mean, certainly for me, I know several Reiki masters and people who teach Reiki now, and of course, when you're in the spiritual circles, you hear Reiki. But maybe for just the sake of going back to the basics,
Yeah.
you're a Reiki master. What
Yeah.
is Reiki?
Oh my goodness. I'm just gonna remind you all that I use God a lot in my language, and so I say that because when I explain what Reiki is, I like to say it's channeling God's healing energy from Him through me into the client. Okay, Reiki is a form of energy healing, like a hands-on energy healing, like Jesus did in the Bible. Jesus was doing Reiki. Um, he was. It is what it is. Argue with me all you want. I
Right.
talk about this in teaching, and actually, it's like part of what we learn. Um, there's like a universal life force energy around all of us. This is the energy of chi, right?
Mhm.
Chi. You're in the martial arts, same vibe. So
Yep.
Reiki is like channeling the chi and giving it to the client. Um, it's so beautiful. And I want to say, in the way that Reiki heals, is seeing the client as the beautiful, perfect angel from God that they are, and in my intention and seeing them in their perfect being and holding that love and letting that energy of love flow through me into that client, miracles happen. It's so beautiful. It's different every time. It's so beautiful. It's so, I even want to say holy and divine. And that's what I have to say about Reiki.
You
It's
can feel the passion, you know.
yeah, I love it. I love teaching it. I love doing it. I'm so thankful that I believed in myself enough to pursue it. And it really found me more than I found it. To be honest with you, the first time that I had heard about Reiki, I was probably 18 years old. And right away, I'm like, that's cool, but like not for me. That's for like the cute, spiritual, other people who follow their dreams. Not for me. So I sort of shut myself off to it. And then I noticed when I was doing readings for people, when you're doing readings for people, when you're holding healing space, you become an open channel. And people who are not spiritual or don't have this kind of lingo, any other kind of healers, doctors, or therapists, psychotherapists, anybody who's really holding space for somebody, an energy happens, an opening happens where they ultimately, if they surrender and trust themselves, they become channels for the divine to extend healing wisdom and information, to get that inclination to say something or see something. Anyway, so when I was doing a reading, I was doing readings for people. I started getting this vibe where I desperately wanted to put my hands on them, like on their shoulders or on their face, on their back, on like all their body. And I like it was so intense and strong. And that's how I knew it was time for me to learn Reiki. And that's how I got into it. And I did level 1 and level 2. And I thought, you know what? I need to teach this. And so that's why I went to the mastership. You can only teach when you're a master.
Hmm.
And I've never looked back. It's been like amazing.
So what sort of a session look like? What does it look like? Someone comes to your space?
A Reiki session
Yeah.
with me. So I want to say that it's different for everybody. Every spiritual healer does their thing in their own way. And I think that's what's so cool, right? And I think everybody gives the different parts of what makes them unique and cool and the way that God works through them. So for me, I'm terrible with timing in the sense that you're here with me for so long. I'm not one to watch the clock. You come in, I put you at ease for sure, connect, feel like we're friends, ask you what you're here for a session for, make sure that you totally understand what Reiki is. And I like to let people know exactly what to expect so that when they're on the Reiki table, they're not in their head. So I'll say something like I blindfold all my Reiki clients so that they're not focused on me and what I'm doing and they're turned inwards. I also use crystals, so I'll either grid you or put certain crystals on top of you based on like I'll scan you and I'll get an intuitive feeling of the crystals that I'll use to put on you to just assist in healing. And I'll walk you through a guided meditation. And then some Reiki healers are hovers, some are touchers. I'm kind of a combination of both. And it's quiet and there's music and you have your sesh. I'll sometimes talk, sometimes not talk. And then when the person is done, we sit and we chat about the session. Before they go on the table, I also pull cards. So I'll also give a little mini reading. It's lit.
It's lit.
Have you had a Reiki session?
I have. Yeah. Yeah. I've had several Reiki sessions. Even friends who send me long distance
Yep.
Reiki.
So Reiki can be done through time and space at your like level 2. What did you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly for me there's a calmness. One of the things that I always complained about in myself was that I always put so much pressure on trying to feel. I'll never forget telling this story, Tanya, but I'm in my first meditation circle. I don't know, well over a decade ago. And I'm sitting down with people that I don't know, and somebody gives a guided meditation, and I'm sitting there, and I think I conked out for a few minutes, but anyway, I was there, and then all of a sudden we come to, and then, okay, guys, I'd like for everybody to share, please. And then everybody's sharing, and then somebody will say, "Oh my God, I saw a deer." So everybody goes around the room and they're telling their story. And then they
No
get to me and
pressure.
going, "Shit, man, I didn't see shit. I didn't see any deer. I didn't see nothing." You
Yeah.
know, and it's been the challenge for me because I was always after the feeling. And what's
Hmm.
interesting is that when you stop trying to have it so much, is when you start to have it. I'll give you an example. You say you use divine, like a channeling, if you will. Maybe there's you're taking energy, universal life force energy, and channeling it to this person to heal through
Which is what
Reiki,
Reiki is. Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
When I'm with a client, there are things that pop into my head that
Yeah.
need to be said.
Yes.
I don't even know that I necessarily know what they mean to that person.
Yes.
But, you know, that's really tough to explain to somebody, especially a guy who's been punching people in the face for 25 years. That's a
It's
tough.
really not though, Mal. People are open now.
Maybe you're right. I just have had the experience of having a spiritual business, and you say the word spirituality, and people like, maybe because it's me, maybe because it's my energy.
What is that? Like what are
Well,
people?
they just think like, oh my god, this guy's out of his mind. Like,
Oh, woo woo, cray
yeah,
cray.
woo, yeah,
Yeah,
yo, cray
yeah, yeah, yeah,
cray.
yeah.
You
What?
know,
Yeah.
lay off the lay off the ayahuasca or whatever you're
Yeah.
doing, and you know,
Yeah. Bucket list. Yes.
right, bucket list.
Have
Um,
you done ayahuasca?
no, I haven't. I
Yeah.
haven't. I'm not a. It is on my bucket list. I will tell you, but the truth is that I don't want to do it on a weekend course because some dude who smokes a lot of weed is running
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
if I'm
yeah.
going to do it, a dear friend of mine went to Peru and did 26 days.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not on
That's
my
intense.
list.
But I mean, he had an awakening. He was
Yeah. Oh my God.
he's a dear friend of mine that I've known for 30 years, and he's adopted and actually connected with his biological mother, who then passed.
Wow.
And he received a lot of healing from that.
Hmm.
And he received it because came to understand was that was his way in. That the mom, even though maybe she wasn't ready to be a mom, that was the
Hmm.
only way that he was going to come to this physical world, was
Hmm.
through this woman.
Hmm.
And it changed his perspective on life. And he it's almost like a light switch, almost like the world, this weighted vest fell off his shoulders when
Yeah.
when that happened. But Tanya, for you, I still, again, what I love about the story is that my villain in the story of Decorous Life, my company, my villain is something called programming. And what I mean by programming is that we're programmed that life has to be a certain way.
Yep.
That we have to do what's mentioned. That you find a good get a good education, find a good pensionable job, blah 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 blah. But what's fascinating about people who have gone through some sort of awakening is that they were on that path. They were doing what they were supposed to do. I called it in one of my blogs, living somebody else's narrative.
Hmm.
So they were living somebody else's narrative. They said, listen, you should just go find yourself a good job and don't quit that job until you find another job. Because if you quit the job before you find another job, then you're going to be in a bad space. I remember my mother, God love her, my 86-year-old Italian mother, who said, "You quit the job and you didn't go find another job?" And I'm going, "Yeah, ma, I hated it there. I hated it." "No, you shouldn't do that. You should go find another job first." Maybe they're right. Maybe they're not. All I know is that I've always been a guy to feel. And if I felt that this was shit, I said, I'm out of here. And I didn't care. I didn't care if I had another job or not.
See, that's admirable in a sense, Mel. But the truth is also, and this is where I'm about the acknowledging the human and the backwards, fucked up world we live in. Sorry, are we allowed to swear here?
Yo, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, sure. F bombs are allowed.
okay. Um, realistically though, and like for anybody who's watching, I think it's so great that you're like, this job is shit and I don't like it. And so I have the inner strength to be like, fuck this. But the reality is too that freaking people have bills to pay and responsibilities. And that was me. You keep bringing me back to like the dental office. Fuck. And I will say, yeah. And I will say, you know what, you guys? I damn well replaced my part time. I had gone part time because I had a couple kids, but I replaced my income through my spiritual business before I ever left because that freaking programming was super strong inside of me. And you know what? I didn't make it wrong because I already made so much wrong, like creating like mountains out of molehills of stupidity because of said programming. Okay.
Hmm.
So don't make it wrong, be realistic, but still move towards your goals. You can do both things.
I like
Or
that.
or you can be like Mel, which is admirable too, which is like, screw this, I'm out
Fuck
of
it.
here.
I'm out of here.
Which is beautiful because it showed that you had a strong belief in your own power to find something to carry you through, right? But just not everybody's there. And I like to meet people really where they're at, in that way.
Yeah, that's a really great thing. I think that there is no right way or a wrong way. I think it's just an
Yeah.
individual's way.
Yeah.
I've always been like that, Tanya. I've always been the guy to jump ship.
I can see that about
Yeah,
you. Yeah.
because like I'll tell you. I mean, I'm on my second marriage or leaving my second marriage now, and I lost the first one because I wanted to do Muay Thai, and even though that was part of her culture, she wanted nothing to do with that. She didn't want a guy who was involved in her in the Muay Thai culture. That was not it. And in this case, I was the kind of guy that I believe very much in what I do. So I could have gone and gotten myself a job, but I'm passionate about what I do. So yeah, I get the concept of, well, you got bills to pay, so well, you better go and get the job shoveling, cement for a little while because that's what you got to do. I get that part. I'm just not very good at it. And I'll tell you something. I'm not tell you something because the gentleman who helps moderate the show, who's a dear friend of mine, Josh, I love you. He's the kind of guy who also does that. He believes. He believes and he has faith that the work that he's doing every day is going to build a piece of or a block that he's going to put on top of each other that eventually is going to build something magnificent, and it's going to come from a place of heart because his passion for what he does is evident in every conversation that you
I
have
love
with him.
that. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go, no, go ahead.
I just, and then, it had come up in the very beginning too, when I was waiting for you to bring me on live, and I get it now. Um, every job is beautiful. And for those who have kind of like a boring regular job, they don't need to be disappointed in it or feel lackluster because the truth is, we can bring magic and light and growth into the most mundane jobs. Do you know what my job was at the dentist office, Mel? The worst job in all of the universe. Okay. I was, okay. I was the recall girl. Do you know what that fucking means?
No.
That means that every single day it was my job to call people and remind them that they're due for their regular hygiene appointment. Okay. I did this hundreds of times a day. And you know what? Until Spirit was like, bitch, get out of there. You have so much light to shine. It's time to do something different. Every phone call I picked up, I remembered that it was their first point of contact with me and my first point of contact with them. And it didn't matter how many times I did it. I smiled through the phone. And you know what? That super shitty, annoying job was kind of magical every moment. And I just want people to know that they can bring purpose and meaning to just about anything. It all comes from a place of inner fire and intention.
Beautiful, Tanya. I can't say anything more other than, you know, I I really appreciate that because when I moved to Ottawa, my first job was as a slot supervisor at the casino. And when
Okay.
I walked in there, the energy was so heavy.
Mm.
I
The
had to deal
feel.
with I had to deal with stuff. My first interaction was with a 90-year-old woman who was playing a machine who asked to see the supervisor because she was going to sue the casino because the music was too loud and the music was preventing her from winning the jackpot.
Okay.
And then I had to deal with people who would come to the casino in their diapers because they didn't want to go to the washroom to lose their machine. And so I talked to somebody, one of my dearest friends, Tanyas, who is a light worker, mystery school trained, but also trained in a variety of other lineages. She was on my show last year. She said, Mel, I know that this is tough for you. And I know that every time that you come home, it feels like there's slime all over my body. The energy is terrible. But he said, you know why you're there? Because you're supposed to be the beacon of light.
I was gonna say because you need beacons of light in such a place of darkness.
Right. And so I love that you did it. And of course I use it, I say it from the perspective, Tanya, of listen, you could be in a bad situation, but what about if we change the lenses? How can we change the lenses in which we're looking at that situation to turn it into a positive?
The lens is everything.
Of course.
Perspective is everything. Earlier you asked me, we know a mutual person who's making transitions. Perspective is everything. Perspective is everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very true.
And perspective is malleable. It's changeable. You can alter your perspective.
Yeah. Thank you, Franny. You're very sweet. In the chat, she says, I'm a beacon of
I
light.
saw.
Well, look who's talking, Franny. You're the kind of woman that no matter how I'm feeling, I'll get a little message from you and you'll always brighten my day. So thank you, Franny. You're very sweet.
Sounds like Franny's a beacon of light.
She
As
is
most.
indeed. She is indeed. And she's Italian. And she likes Goodfellas. And
Okay.
that's 1 point for Franny in my book. But Tanya, so here you are, you've made this transition. You went part-time, you had a couple of kids, so you went part-time at work, and then you started to build this business.
Yeah.
What's it like now?
Oh my God. It is so amazing. And I think one of the things with me generally as a person is things I'm grateful for don't wear away on me easily. So I'm always like, oh my God, this is so fucking amazing. And like, 2 years later, I'm like, oh my God, this is so amazing. It's just like, it's always awesome. Honestly, I'm living my dream. And I just like, it's so awesome. And I have like a really unconventional job. Like, I mean, I do Reiki, I do angel cards, I make spiritual things, I make wands, and I'm playing with feathers all the time, and I'm getting paid for it, and it just trips me out. And I think, holy shit, if I could do this, I swear it, anybody who's alive can do it, because
Yeah.
I was so scared and realistic and responsible, and and it's amazing. My life is amazing. Yeah.
I mean that's what you want to hear. That's
Yeah.
what I want to hear from people because most of the times I talk to people that are stuck. And that's why for me, Tanya, like in my like because I want to ask you like your demographic or your clientele. Is there a particular niche of or demographic of people that you're looking to serve? Or is it just anybody and everybody?
It's anybody and everybody, but you can say anybody and everybody, but not everybody and anybody is going to be drawn to you. You know,
That's
the
right.
truth is that God and the universe and the angels and the divine bring the people that need you into your life at particular times. Like Mel, how Sandra connected us in the right divine timing. And, coincidence that our first chat, you were, grief stricken? Not a coincidence. And obviously you needed me and I needed you at this particular time in our life. So the kinds of people that I want to say find themselves sitting on my couch are people a lot like me. And that's the oftentimes the way it goes with healers too, is, the truth is, for an example, Mel, you shine your light. You have your charismatic vibe about you. You love Muay Thai. Excuse me if I didn't say it right. And you're entrepreneurial and charismatic. The people that are going to find themselves on your show or in your coaching programs, they have resonance with you. They see something inside of you that reminds them of themselves and the power that they have within. And so, when you're a healer, or really just anybody who's looking to attract somebody, it's so
Right.
important to be authentic and genuine, because it is through that authenticity and that genuine expression of what you're true, who you are, what you have to offer, that you then bring those people in. The people that find themselves on my couch are typically people who feel internally powerful, feel confused, and are needing clarity about what they want to do in their life, have spent many, 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 one too many years playing small, and who need a little bit of hand holding to remember how powerful they are and to be encouraged and reminded that they are powerful beyond measure. Coaching wise, I find a lot of people separating, divorced, single, or wanting to build businesses, which is just so fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Mhm. People who are looking to connect with their spirituality, who want to understand their spiritual gifts more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if
Well,
you think like
that's
that, it's all the places I've been, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
People teach what they know.
I want to open it up a little bit to the chat as well, Tanya, that if somebody had some questions about Reiki, because you also do tarot card reading,
Mm,
a
I
little
do angel card readings.
angel card readings. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, what else, what other sort of, and you found the name Soul Tribe Healing. Why did you call it that?
It used to be Fix It on the Inside, which is what I was for most years. Um, and I called it Soul Tribe Healing because I love my soul tribe. And what's a soul tribe? To be honest, it's we all have our soul tribes. We all have our spiritual groups, right? People we have resonance with, we feel kindred connections with. Um, and they can be small and they can be huge. And the soul tribe are people who are good people who um are self aware and powerful warriors who are kind and loving and are optimistic and want to see the light in the world, and who are also realistic and are not afraid to drop some F bombs and fucking be real. And that is my soul tribe.
Yeah.
And that's them. And
Yeah.
healing in all forms,
So,
physical,
so angel
mental,
card readings, Reiki. What else? What else?
intuitive life coaching, spiritual, like metaphysical products. I have like a little store. Um, I'll do meditations. I talk about the moon and the cycles and all of that kind of stuff.
So you
So
do
I also
new
like
moon,
business mentorship.
new moon meditations and full moon meditations.
Yeah, I've helped so many people start their own spiritual practices. I think it's been one of the biggest lights of my life. Seeing somebody who was scared and insecure and having a dream for themselves, and you know this, Mel, because you're a coach yourself.
Yeah.
Seeing people who elevate themselves and used to be small and then are so afraid, yet put the effort in and do the work and then start their own practice and set themselves free, oh, it's like it's the shit.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it certainly it makes a difference, and some might argue that we're doing lots of selfish things by helping others. We feel so good ourselves. You know.
No, I'm not going to argue that.
That's right. But I appreciate that when you are in a position where you can help someone, it's sort of the advice that I would give people, that if you're feeling bad one day, go and help somebody. Watch how it changes the energy.
You know, so if you don't mind,
No.
just hearing you say this, just for anybody who's listening or may listen that wants to start their own entrepreneurial experience or elevate how they're feeling, like you said, um, the key to happiness is serving the world in your own unique and special way. The key to happiness is being in service to other people. When you're doing something like when I started my business, I was so afraid. When I started right away before I even like really had an offer and I wanted to share something enlightening or spiritual or a spirit message, I was like, "Oh my god, who do I think I am? What are people going to think?" Like back in 2016, 2017, what are people going to think if I'm assertive in this way or I put this out there? Like, who the heck do I think I am offering spiritual advice all of a sudden? I'm just a receptionist at a dental office after all. And it was like me. What are people going to think about me? What are their judgments going to be about me? How is it going to affect me? And then one day I was like, fuck this. It is not about me. It's about them. And I put a little sticky note on my computer that said, stay in service to the world. And in that way, when I shifted my thoughts to um, what I can share with the world to elevate the world or other people, then everything came through me. I knew exactly what to post. I knew exactly what to say. The path in front of me became clear. And that was a mindset I just kept coming back to until it was effortless. And that, my friends, is how you find happiness.
Yeah.
Don't make it about you, make it about them. What did they need from you? What did the universe or source bestow within you that the world needs to hear? We all
Beautiful.
have it.
Yeah.
Some of
I
us,
mean, it's. I love that we're in alignment with that, Tanya.
yeah.
That's really really great for me, because I always say to people that in all the books that I've read, and all the masters that walked the planet before us, they said the same thing, that we're not actually here to learn anything. We're here to remember who we are. And in remembering who we are, what's our role? Is to help other people remember who they are.
And in remembering who we are every single day, which is the key, it's unraveling the programming that we were born into the society. So every day we become more ourselves as we release and acknowledge more of all of the programming. And that, you and I spoke about this. This was one of the blessings of COVID. Is I think people just became more clear about the programming surrounding us. Anyway, I'm sorry I cut you off. Go
No,
on.
that's super great. I feel the exact same way. In fact, the opportunity that COVID presented was an opportunity to really become a little bit more introspective
Aware. Yeah.
and become more aware of our own energies. Because it's funny, you use the term awareness, and it's part of my equation. My equation for my business is balance plus clarity equals awareness. Balance is the balancing of the triangle of body, mind, and spirit, exercising all 3 points of the triangle on a daily basis. The
Yeah.
clarity piece is where I take vision boarding and getting clear, crystal clear on what you want on the most important areas of your life. Once you have all of these things together, you develop something called awareness. And there's
Yes.
only two kinds of awareness: awareness of the energies of self, and the awareness of the energies outside of self. And I love that you're using this word awareness, because I believe that there's still many people who lack a lot of self-awareness.
And I got to tell you, it's unfortunate because self awareness is the beginning of healing. It's the key. You need self awareness for all healing. I'm super passionate about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why that equation for me was what I conducted, or what was the framework around my business, that balance plus clarity equals awareness.
I love it. I love
Be-
it, Mel. I love
yeah,
it.
yeah, because if we're going to develop, if we're not okay, so if we're not feeling very self-aware, then what has to happen is we have to change something in our lives. So, for example, if I felt like shit, I went to the gym, because in
Yeah, but
moving
you
the
wouldn't know you
energy,
were feeling shit if you weren't self-aware.
agreed. But I think people can still have feelings and feel something, especially in a time of tragedy or trauma, because most people don't make any changes until that kind of experience comes to them. I always use the example of the son who quits smoking because his father dies of lung cancer, or the person who decides to get into the gym because their doctor said, listen, if you don't go to the gym and exercise, you're going to have a heart attack.
I think it's the tragedy, like you know from my bio that I struggled with some fertility issues. Thank you. Thank you, God. Life is good. I have two beautiful babies. But I think it's when we face tragedy that we pull the warrior within, and it starts to become clear what we're really made of and what we really believe. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And how much we've grown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. And that's why, to me, also, martial arts plays a huge role in my life, because everything that you've said is what makes a champion. A
Yeah.
champion goes through some adversity and
Yeah.
they keep plugging away. They keep, as Rocky Balboa said, we keep moving forward, you know?
And I just want to speak about the adversity for a minute because it's
Yeah.
kind of will end the way we started, as all my readings go, by the way. Which is the adversity component. I feel the need to say that sometimes adversity is being hard on ourselves for fucking 10 years. Sometimes people don't have have mediocre vibe lives. And I don't want those people to feel like they can't amount to something or change or have a profound shift because they're measuring their adversity against the adversity we see in the world, which could be so drama, right? So extreme. Sometimes our adversity is feeling small or staying in a marriage longer than we should, or having self betrayal, like accepting shitty friendships or not having boundaries. And I just felt like I needed people to hear that
Yeah.
because everybody is so powerful and can take who they are and their past and their story and heal the world with it. And I just want everyone to believe in themselves.
Yeah, and I love it. I love this so much, Tanya. I really feel like you are exactly in the energy and in the space that you need to be.
Thank you.
You talk of spirituality in the same way that I used to speak of Muay Thai. That
Yes.
there was so much love for Muay Thai. I could convince anybody to come and try Muay Thai because I made it seem like it was the greatest thing next to sliced bread. And so it's powerful, and it's really great to hear. It's really great to hear that, you know, you've had this journey of doing what everybody said that we should do, and then eventually having some awakening. Even if it took some time, or even if that transition was slow, the fact that there is a transition means that you're taking steps towards moving to something which is for a better future.
And I was so scared. I was so scared. And I did it anyway. And
I want to ask you something though, Tony. What did your
yeah,
parents say?
oh my gosh. Um, for a long time, I felt I think I'll just say it. I'll own it. You know what? I spent many years of pain just hoping and looking for approval and validation. And I mean, my overcoming my need for validation came actually far after I started my spiritual journey. But it was important for me that um I had the permission and the validation and approval of my parents. And I got to tell you, My parents were like, bitch, are you crazy? You have a mortgage and a family to take care of. You're gonna quit this great job where this guy pays you so great. You're gonna have a family you need to take care of. Like, this is reality, you guys. Like, this is reality. And I'm like, I know, right? And so because I'm so responsible in that sense, it was very, very difficult. I think it was a bigger barrier than it needed to be. But I did it anyway because I remembered this is my one journey, and you have to have faith in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. Sometimes your only available transportation is a leap of faith. I didn't make that up. I wish I could take credit for that shit. But that's like a
That's some
common,
good shit, though.
right? Um but yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I was scared. My parents, my dad didn't ever, like, nobody understands what I do. My parents are not outwardly spiritual people either. And my husband is not a outwardly spiritual guy either. And eventually I just needed to feel the truth within myself, stop waiting for other people to understand, validate me, and I needed to take charge of my own life. And this also brings it back to something we talked about in the very, very beginning, which is shifting out of that victim mode and taking complete ownership for your life is your responsibility. So I just stopped. I decided that not everybody needed to understand, and I would show them through my light and my action. And I didn't need it, but I knew it would come. And so I just proved it. I proved it with action, right?
Standing ovation.
Yay.
Well, if there's any questions, guys, in the chat, please put them in there now. Um, Tanya, what can I say? We were talking about how 90 minutes flies. It's
Yeah,
90 minutes.
I know.
It's that fast. It's
I know,
really
I know. I should
remarkable.
know. I was scared and nervous a little bit.
Yeah, but there's so much for you to share that and stuff that needs to hear. I want to give a shout out to somebody. She goes by Folkto on Instagram, and this woman always comments on the show. She's just wonderful at a fan of the show. She watches the shows, and then she puts this lengthy comment where the poster was of whoever's on the show. So, Folkto, I'm looking forward to hear your comments of this show, because I hope that there's lots there for you to comment on, and I hope that you see the light in this show. You see the light in this beautiful goddess Tanya, and how this was the mission. You see, my mission with the Coffee and Biscotti show, Tanya, was to do exactly this: to get people to hear somebody like your story and saying, I've lived this normal life. But that wasn't enough for me because I was making myself small. And I'm huge.
Yeah,
And I'm okay to make that transition. No matter how scared I was, no matter how much I looked for approval, the feeling inside my heart, the soul was yelling at me
it was.
to go
Yeah.
and do this work.
Well, thank you for opening your platform to me, Mel. I had such a great time.
You're an amazing woman, Tanya. I want to thank again Sandra Neal for the introduction. She's been doing lots of. She's almost like the recruiting agent for
I
the
mean,
Coffee and
honestly, I
Biscotti
think she
show,
needs an
right?
income. Just saying.
She's awesome.
Thank you, Sandra. I see that you're here in the chats, and thank you, Angel.
So what I'm going to do, Tanya, is I'm going to put you backstage as I give my final thoughts, and I will be with you in just a moment. Thank you so much, Tanya, for spending 90 minutes with me today. You really are an amazing human, and thank you. Thank you for shining your light.
Pleasure's been mine. Thank you.
Didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you that you were going to get sucked in? I told you. The energy's strong. The light is strong with this one. I don't know. You got to give me maybe Josh. You could give me something that was like that with Star Wars, because I think they said something like that in Star Wars. Maybe Franny. Maybe you know, girl. Maybe you know that line from Star Wars. Super grateful for today's show and something that I needed. And I hope that if you're watching this live or if you watch the recorded version of this, that you get something from this, that it will inspire you to not to stay small, that it will inspire you to go after your dreams. That's what we do on this show, is we share the stories of people that are about passions and transformations. Thank you, of course, to Josh. Everyone needs a Josh Leslie in their life. That's going to be his tagline. Josh Leslie. Everybody needs one of me in their life. I love it. Josh, talk to me, brother. Where are we rating to this week? Make sure that you join us next week. I'm not telling you who's on the show this week. You see, I'm starting to get smart. I'm not going to tell you who's on the show, so this way you come to find out. See, that's called using your technology. So Josh, let me know where we're rating to. I'm super grateful. There we are. Today we are off to see DJ White Gold in Kitchener, as in Kitchener, Ontario, Canada, who is doing a charity stream for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Dude, it's my birthday next week. Franny's going to be here on the show, in the chat, while she's celebrating her birthday. Franny, love you, girl. Can't wait to see you. We will chat, of course, before then. Give a little shout out to Vera too, wherever she is. Franny, make sure give a little love to Vera. So, my friends, thank you again for spending some time with us here, from all of us at the Coffee and Biscotti Show, from my heart to yours, and from my home to yours. Please have an awesome Friday, an awesomer weekend. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Love you, Franny. Love you, Josh. Love you, Sandra. Thank you all for being here. You guys are awesome. You guys are the reason why I continue to do this. And thank you to our guest, Tanya. There she is. Rum Shaker. Couple of kisses your way, girl. Thank you so much. I know that you're working on Fridays now, but every time you get a chance to drop in, please join us. I love having you here. Love having your energy in the room with us. Look forward to seeing you all next week on the Coffee and Biscotti Show. This is Crew Mel saying, I'm out of here. Josh, rate us away, baby. Peace.